Hey there, Vernacular Faithful. Redcoat here, and I'm just recording a companion piece to a test stream I ran earlier today. This is being titled "Gaming's Eden. Is it in the East?" And my response to that is, from a metaphorical standpoint, if we're following the fullness of the metaphor, not so much. Rather, you could say that the East was actually gaming's promised land. Okay, so that's getting a little bit heady, and I might be burying the lead here. The general gist of what I'm talking about here is the idea that here in the West, we have been witness to the the slow but steady decay of the AAA gaming space with EA, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, and Microsoft, and a number of others. And people who've been paying attention knew that have known and knew that this was inevitable with the way that they were doing things. Their monetary practices were getting predatory. The quality bar was getting less and less. The games were super buggy and often released far too early. And the games themselves were becoming more and more creatively bankrupt with each new sequel. I believe anybody who has been paying even the remotest amount of attention understands that where we're at right now is not a surprise. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot for long enough that we now no longer have a leg to stand on. It's been a long time coming, and I've said this metaphor at a TechNet conference not 2 years ago. No, about a year. No, yeah, close to 2 years ago, maybe about a year ago. It's a Time is funky for me at this point. And I've had this prediction for years because I recognized way back in 2005 when I started my schooling at the DigiPen Institute of Technology that there was a wave of independent developers that was growing and would eventually overtake the AAA space. Because even then, uh, I had witnessed a phenomenon of let's say, the passing of the unlit torch. And what I mean by that is, I witnessed the handing of Rare off to Microsoft. And you know what happened there, right? All of the talent that was actually in Rare jumped ship when they learned that they were getting acquired by Microsoft, which are a chronic chronic technologically oriented theft is a thing with Microsoft. Now, I know that might be a bold statement, but you just kind of go to the Living Computer Museum in Seattle and walk through the history of that company, and you will see that almost every technology that they came up with belonged to someone else. They took it and integrated it into their own thing. Now, there is something to be said for technology compositing, the idea of taking a bunch of different items and putting them together, and that's the new cool thing. But it's important to understand they were not, uh, how would I say, they were not ideators, they were innovators. And I know that seems that's like corporate jargon speak. Both of those sound like how would you say positive things, and to an extent they are. But it's important to understand what that means. So when you grab a company like Rare and you bring them into Microsoft, but all of the talent jumps ship, that means that what they tried to acquire and innovate on, they got nothing. So as Microsoft operates as a multiplier, they got zero. He multiplied zero. It doesn't matter how much you multiply zero by, you still get zero. Hence, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, and the death of at least one more character franchise. And and I mean, we've seen this in all sorts of things. I don't need to add to the rest of the commentary that's happening in the movie space. As it, Nerdrotic's got it. And everyone else over there, they've got it. Sorry, I know I should probably know your names, and I do watch a lot of the content, but at the moment I'm just busy with other things. I apologize. um, anyway, the point is, gaming, we've known anybody that's even remotely has a basic understanding of how the industry works has known that where we're at right now has been in the works, has been in the making for years. It has been in the making for years. And Japan, China, Korea, I mean, they were already doing exemplary things before we got here. I mean, Korea had already done so much stuff uh, the massively multiplayer RPG space. It's just, advertising dollars and everything kind of corralled eyes back to the American properties. But even then, you've got Japan's Final Fantasy, which took the crown from World of Warcraft, and now plenty of. I mean, on the Chinese side, China basically took over the gacha game space. Although, with the name gacha, it's actually more of a Japanese idea anyway. But I digress. They've basically taken over all of the spaces because for them, they have an understanding of what you need to do to make a game good, which is, focus on making it play well. It's play first, monetization second. Or rather, if you're going to do monetization, have it foment the play. It needs to be an asset, not a detriment. And here in the Americas, at least in the AAA space, it's definitely been a detriment. Now, is gaming's Eden in the East, as I said at the beginning? No. That might be gaming's promised land. But video games originated in the West. So, by that token, we have the fall, and we have the story of the fall here. What I mean by gaming originated in the West is, at least in the general understanding, is that the first games were created in universities here in the United States, particularly with Tennis for Two, Pong. Um, it may have been started in Europe with X's and Drops, I think it was either Space War or Space Sim. Well, Space Sim is a little bit later. Uh, Might have been Space War or another thing. The point is, it originated here in the Americas. And you could say that corporate ate the apple of knowledge, that knowledge being that you could make money with this. And they let that get in the way of the original intent for games, which is, well, yeah, you can make money with this, but the point is to make an engaging and fun experience. And in reality, if you do something that is valuable in that angle, the money will come because people will recognize it and they will want to engage with it. That's the whole thing. That's selling an experience that enriches someone's life. The fourth angle of those three points of health, wealth, and relationship. The extra fourth dimension, if you will. So, with that in mind, the future is not as dark as you might think. Uh, I mean, granted, again, using the biblical metaphor, the fall, what follows the fall is a redemption, a rising from the ashes. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes struggle, and it takes faith. And while we might not necessarily have a Jesus figure in our video game zeitgeist, do have, what we do have are, forgive the phrasing, um, proverbial, proverbial burgeoning Christians, because again, you have this idea, because if you get to the story of Christ, you have that, comes up and the Pharisees have their big thing going on where they've got control over all the rules. They've made more and more rules and made it impossible for anybody to do right. And Jesus comes in and says, "This is like super simple, dudes. We don't need all of those. All you need is love your neighbor and love God, right? Um, get back to the core. You've got all of this knowledge. It's blinding you to what is actually important." And by that metaphor, while by that, after that, then the church, as it was, became a more decentralized element with the apostles going around and spreading the word. And eventually it would then consolidate into larger institutions that do their own thing. And we're not going to get into that because there's a whole other thing going on there. What I will say is that we're having what I would call a second renaissance of the church, even as we speak. But bringing it back to the video game metaphor, what you are witnessing is the death of the pharisaical space. The people who have proposed a whole bunch of extra rules and laws, and are benefiting from those rules and laws in the form of money, clout, and general prosperity, much like the Pharisees did back in their day. And much like those same Pharisees, they can and probably will be proven wrong by the people that actually fully understand what it is that it's about, not without struggle. So the the point of this is that the people who can do and create the experiences that you're seeing coming out of the East, they already exist. They've been striving and struggling on their own, developing their skills, developing their abilities in the independent space. If you've been paying attention, you see them on the rise, left, right, and center. If you've been paying attention. And I would suggest that what you do is go to X and set yourself up to just keep your eye out for screenshot Saturdays, or wind up Wednesdays, or there are a bunch of people who just collect independent projects and independent creators, and just start going down the line, and you will be amazed at what you see. So while AAA is a sinking ship, and a lot of people are trying to rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic, I'm going to tell you, you should have gotten off of that boat a long time ago, as soon as you knew it was the Titanic, as soon as you saw that iceberg coming. You didn't get off because the driver of the ship said, "No, it's fine." And to be sure, not all of the big name companies are dying. Um, and I don't think all of them will just completely capsize. But people have been, making their own little sailboats, and learning how to build their own power boats. To take the metaphor a little bit further, if you will, and learning how to do not just standard seamanship, but learning how to do cool tricks and stuff with those boats. But the all of the talent of the industry, it has hemorrhaged out. Well, not all of it. It's hemorrhaging out, and with the layoffs, we're just getting more and more of that. And what that's going to lead to is a number of those people already have a lot of money in their pockets, and they want to make stuff, they want to build stuff, and some of them will have the understanding that, wait, if I fund this myself, I could make what I want to make. I don't have to make Madden 2007. Or rather, I don't have to make Madden 4099. I could make Orc Ball and have Dark Elves play against Orcs in the bloodiest football game ever. Why don't I do that? I'll just get a few people together, and by gum, we're gonna do it. Because the other thing is, the all of the technologies that you would normally ascribe to AAAs have also been decentralized. I talked a little bit about this, but it's the idea that the original thought was that, well, if you want to use the high level expensive the high level stuff, if you want to be able to do that stuff, you're going to need to have Maya, or heaven forbid, the Adobe Suite. You're going to spend a ton of billions of bucks if you want to have everybody have access to that. It's like, wait, well, I mean, you could do that, or Blender's free, Godot's free. These exist. I mean, hell, you could go with Game Maker. It's cheaper. Unity exists. I mean, I have my compunctions about them, but the fact of the matter is, it exists, and it's powerful, it's useful, it does what it needs to do. You don't have to spend nearly as much money on it. This is the thing. This is to say nothing of the animation software that's out there. The fact that what is it? The you know, all those techniques that they used in Guilty Gear Xrd. The fact that a development team has been working on making their own tool suite that natively does that stuff. And if you have sat in on any of the talks about what they did to get Guilty Gear Xrd to work, that's amazing. And that might actually be a part of Blender soon, amongst other things. Do you see what's happening? Do you see it? Are you excited? You should be. I know, I know, I know. Lamentations or whatever for the AAA space. Uh, what is it? Rest in piss, as they say, or perhaps rest in chaos. Perhaps that would be uh, more of the statement. I, uh, I might not have a very high view of them, but I digress. Do you not see it? This is exciting. So, the fact of the matter is, there's an opportunity that is there and ripe for the picking. Even if you aren't necessarily the person that's got the skills to build this stuff, all of the talent is out there. Every They are doing their demo reels for you to see every day on X, on the social media spaces, and on Steam. All you need to do is find them and give them the chance, and they will wow you. They will take you on a real ride. You'll see some really cool stuff. So, the short of it is, the industry as we know it here in the Americas is atomizing. And the thing is that atomization is creating decentralization. And so, if you want to move forward, you need to be paying attention to what tools have become available to you. and what people have become available to you. And don't put on the AAA blinders and just look at LinkedIn or at the hiring agencies. Because the hiring agencies, frankly, don't understand gaming. They don't know what they're looking for. They understand corporate speak and corporate jargon. They understand the bean counters. So that's all I've got to say here. Is gaming's Eden in the East? Again, I will say no. It's here. We're just in the midst of a fall. And we are going to resurrect it piece by piece and bit by bit, and it will be glorious. Is gaming's promised land in the East? Maybe. Maybe. Either case, either case, this is just the beginning of something grand and wonderful, and I am here for it. Have a wonderful night, or day, or whatever it is where you're at. This is Redco, signing off. Play the games you want to play, boyos.